We're focused on the same stuff as before. I got lots and lots and lots of good content for you this week. Now, as you know, this is about just two or three very simple things. The objective first, and then what it's about. The objective is, how do you have the best chance of being able to build a unicorn, which is a company still private, valued at over $1 billion? Honestly, as most people on this podcast know, or this live stream know, whether you build a unicorn, whether you build $100 million company, or even if you build a $50 million company and you own 100 or 90% of that $50 billion company, God bless you. You have managed to build what is a venture type scalable company. That is a company that you can grow and build either using investor capital or using the best type of investor capital, which is customer capital. Okay. And I, Brian McMahon, I'm here as your host to make sure that we guide you along the way. Now, what do I do and what do we do? Well, I'm the founder of Expert Dojo. We've invested in a couple of hundred companies. Our companies are doing really well. And so I get more feedback, input, directive involvement with more companies that we've invested in than pretty much anybody else out there. So that's our context. And every week, we come on this live stream. I come on this live stream. I will normally bring you a wonderful guest who'll talk about something very important. Today we're going to talk about people. And so I think it's going to be like hugely valuable to y'all. And then you get to ask questions and hopefully walk away smarter and more prepared to be able to grow your company. Now, I tell you what we want to build. Now, let me tell you the foundational process that you need to make sure that you have in place to build it yourself. Most VCs just look at investment. And if you go through a Y Combinator or someone else, the principle generally is find someone who's really privileged, knows other people with money. And those people with money will give you lots of money. Lots of money will allow you to unfairly compete in the marketplace. And that will allow you to win because you can sell products for less and which are valued or worth more versus competitors that don't have the ability to do that because they don't have, a couple $100 million in the bank to be able to waste on this while they're going along. Our focus is very different than this. Our focus is, how do you build great customer engagement so that your customer loves you? Now, a couple of things that happened over the last week or so. Number one, we made a pretty big announcement at Expert Dojo, and that announcement is actually based on us having the right people right now. So when I started the dojo, because it was pretty much an I at the beginning, it started out as a growth hacking organization. Then we started investment in companies. I had Jonathan Wallace, who was great at due diligence, and John found some wonderful companies. We brought in our limited partner who put the investments into the companies, and then we combined investments with growth hacking. Now, that was 6 or 7 long years ago, but it takes a little bit of time to be able to break companies through. But based on the market economics today, we know that there's very little liquidity out there. We know that it's very hard for LPs. We know that most funds are not returning to LPs. So I have two choices. Choice number one is just keep going as we're going. We have great companies in there. We're looking at a 5x, against the fund. It would probably take 3 to 5 years to be able to get most of that through, but it will go fine. Choice number two, directly intervene with companies and help those companies grow faster and become very valuable quicker. Choice number two seems like a very easy choice, but it's actually a very hard choice because you need to have incredible people to do it, and you cannot half-ass this. So choice number two, I took. And what that meant was we took one of our fastest growing companies, definitely top 3 best company, and I moved into that company and we took over a co-founder seat. And that co-founder seat then allowed us to be able to break through. Now, I knew we were going to have a great company that we were going to be able to do. Now, so that was all because I had a great person in Ash who was going to be able to build out that company and be able to do something incredible on that side of it as well. So I want to talk all about that. I want to bring Sarbojit into the call. I want to talk about Incredible. Let's see if I can get him in.
Hey, hi. Can you hear me?
Come
Am
on
I
in,
audible?
old boy. Let's see if I'm able to. Maybe Kishle, you can bring him in.
I think I'm in. Can you hear me?
Okay. There you are. Wonderful.
Hi, Brian. Hi.
Welcome to the call.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're talking about great people, how to find great people, the necessity for great
Mm-hmm.
people, and when you're breaking through, how you can then use those people to go through.
Exactly.
And so let's move away from me for a minute and move towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Quick introduction while I
Okay,
cough. And then I want to jump into people, people, people,
great.
people.
Okay, so I am Sarbojit. I am one of the co-founders of Instahyre. So we are a company which was formed in 2016-17 as a product company, and we focused on recruitment. The recruitment scenario is broken mostly. Why? Because we have a lot of jobs, we have a lot of candidates, but they can't find each other. Okay, and there are a lot of companies trying to solve it. We solve it through our hypothesis, which was using a little bit of technology, a little bit of at that point of time we used AI, we used machine learning to understand a candidate, make it persona, and then connect it to the best companies available for them. Okay, and this is how we mimicked a recruiter. Now when we started off, at that point of time we had two very loyal customers of ours. One was Walmart and one was Delivery, which was an Indian, I think it's already IPO'd in the Indian market. And then we started off with only product companies because we wanted to solve the software development problems in product companies. Okay, and that was huge at that point of time, and now it's also huge. Okay, so we got in mostly all the product companies, and we were only on organic growth. Okay, we did not spend on ads. Right now also I don't spend on ads. Okay, so we are purely organic, and 100% came through referral. Okay, at that point of time 100% came through referral. Say Walmart came in, they suggested Amazon started using us. We had a freemium model. Okay, we also have a freemium model now. They started using
Yeah.
us, they loved
So
our product.
before we go too deep,
Okay.
before we go too deep into your growth, I think it's wonderful. We all want to know about your company. But
Yes.
first of all, we want to know about recruitment and we
Okay.
want to know about how to find the best people in your team. So let's, if we can, because I get what you're building, and we'll come back to that in the end. But let's, if we can, try and add tons of value for
Mhm.
everybody who's listening about what they should be doing to build the best possible founding team.
Great. So, with my experience, I have founded two companies. Okay, and both of the companies were like Instahyre. We started off in 2017. We were like three, four people in the founding team. So, what we need in a founding team, and I mentor a lot of other startups and help a lot of other companies to hire. We need people who are not a 9 to 6 guy. Okay, we'll not start at 9 and finish at 6 and shut it off. We don't need people who will shut it off. We need people who can think about a problem, solve it. They don't need to work, but they need to solve problems. Okay, and there will be a lot of problems which will be coming in, right? At this point of time, okay, at this point of time, what we are trying to see is the mentality of a person coming in. Okay, at your end, and how you can leverage it. So we have seen people who started off as interns with us. Okay, and right now they are promoted to a senior dev, or a backend engineer. Why? Because they believed in the concept, they believed in the mission. Okay, and they kept on experimenting, kept on trying, and now they have managerial roles. Okay, we have a very good example will be one of the hires which we have done in 2019, who came in as a sales manager, and, right now after 5 years he was promoted to the role of COO, the chief operating officer. So what we need in a person to build a founding team is the mentality to solve problems. It will be a very scrappy environment. Okay, Nothing will be in place. Processes need to be built. We don't build processes for a 10 people team. We just sit down and start solving problems, and we need people who can work in very scrappy environment, and they can scale it up. So in Indian scenario, I will tell you, there are a lot of companies who are building a lot of very good things, okay, based out of India. And in Indian mentality, the startup rush which came in was 2015-16, where we see a lot of companies spawning up. Okay, Flipkart came in 2008, 2009, and they inspired a whole new generation. We got Swiggy, we got Zomato, which came in until 2012, 13. And post COVID also, we see a lot of digital companies coming in, and they have gone very big. If you see the scenario, and all this startup, when we see most of they are in my network, these founders. When they start up, there were 3-4 people, and they hired people who were mostly intern, mostly unpaid, because they don't have money at that point of time. They raised funding at some point of time, but at that point of time they did not have money. Some people joined in from very established companies at 50% pay cut, okay, just for
But give
ESOP,
me, but
or
like
just for.
if you, yeah, no, that's excellent. But tell me, like, when you're looking at a co-founder, what's the criteria that you should look at for a perfect co-founder? I want to get to the team in a second, but let's start with the
Okay,
co-founder.
so the co-founder, the first thing which one should look at is complementary skill set. So say I am a developer, and he needs to be very good at the other parts of it, right? I cannot take care of the entire thing, and there should be discussions which are very creative in nature. Okay, suppose the development person who is a co-founder one, say, will tell you about a product which he or she wants to build, but the other person from from the non-tech department, who is the other co-founder, will tell you why the customer will like this product and why the customer won't like this product. Maybe the tech co-founder wants to build a product which is very good, very tech savvy, but that is not solving a very major problem. If they want to build a very simple thing but it's solving a lot of problems, that is where they come in. So there should be conflicting interest in both to build the best product. Okay, they should fight for that product, so that they have everything on the table. Okay, and the product which they are building, it's usable by millions of people. Okay, second thing is basically the mentality. So see, where we come in, and the other co-founders in my network, we are in for the longer game. We are not for like 5 years and 6 years. We don't have a timeline. We are here for 20 years, 15 years down the line. So we'll be only building this for 15 years, 20 years down the line, right? And for that, you need to be passionate about everything what we do. Okay, so if you are building in recruitment, you have to need to be passionate about recruitment, how interactions happen between two people. If you are building in, say, in any industry, in finance, you should be passionate about. And that person should be a problem solver. Okay, you won't have potloads of money at the day one, right? But you need customers to try out your product. How will you reach out to them? What will be your modus operandi? Okay, what tools which are freely available will you use to get to, say, the first 10 loyal customers? And how will you use them to get to the next 10 loyal customers? Okay, so this is how you build. So one person needs to be a talker, one, and both of them needs to sell the product. They need to sell the product. Okay, so when we started off, when we were hiring a co-founding team, we made every people sit to the chat, the customer support chat, where people were coming in, this is not working, this login is not working, my OTP is not coming. So all these things needs to be taken care by a co-founding team member. They will say, this is not my job, but this is everybody's job to solve the problem of the customer, because you are not building some fancy technology for some fancy thing. You are building for the customer. So customer needs to understand what you are building. Okay, and very good understanding of the customer and what we call as critical insights needs to be coming from the co-founder or the founder himself or herself, right? Critical insight will mean, say, you will be talking, say in my case, we talk to a lot of recruiters. We that point of time we used to talk to a lot of recruiters to understand how they're using. We just used to tell them to use any product in front of us, any other competing products, competing platforms, and let me observe you how you do it. Okay, and we found out problems, right? And then we used to open our product and tell them to use our product, and we used to find out a lot of problems. We thought that this will be very good for them. They could not understand where to go from stage A to stage B. Okay, so this is how we found out a lot of problems. And when you talk to a customer, a recruiter, without any agenda, just talk to them. Okay, the co-founder needs to be, as I told you, very good, a talkative person will hold very good, and they should take good notes so that they can bring it to the other tech co-founder, and she can build the product, right? And when you talk without agenda, okay,
I love,
so that is how you bring out the
I love
problems.
that.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so on the
Mm,
flip side, tell me the things, the warning
mm.
signs of a terrible co-founder.
One of the most warning signs is basically very focused on, say, how much equity will I get, how much salary will I draw. Okay, and only thinking about raising funds without giving any say any output. Say, what we have seen is, first of all, we need to give value to the customers. Okay, we as Instahyre, we are a profitable company for the last 7 years, and most of the major tech companies, they use our product. We never focused on raising funds, because we can raise funds, we can raise a lot of money, and then we can spend it. But what is the end goal? There should be an end value. So the other co-founder, the red flag is not giving value to the customer, only thinking about himself or herself. Number one. Number two is very much focused on how much equity will I get, if the deal goes through, will I get some percentage. Okay, and then financial discipline. If they don't have financial discipline, that is a very big red sign, because red flag. Because if you see, most of these companies, they die within 1 or 2 years of incorporation. Why? Because suppose they have raised some money. We see a lot of our startups closing down because they have raised money. They don't have the financial discipline. They will spend it on things which are not important. Okay, and then they will then scramble for funds again. Okay, that is not the right way to do it. And another red flag which I have seen is non-resourcefulness. Okay, so we if we want to target, say, 1 lakh companies, how will you target it without spending a lot of money? So they should be resourceful, they should find out sources how we'll do it. Okay, and if they're not resourceful, they will spend a lot of money, and then the end result will be the same. Okay, so I rather go with a person who is resourceful, who thinks about the industry. And industry knowledge is not a one day thing. You cannot gain everything in one day. Okay, you need to find out more things. And another thing is, good networking skills also helps. A person who is not a good networker can be a co-founder, but in larger scenarios, which what I have seen, they are very good networkers. So tech guys, they are also good networkers. They network with the other technology persons, so that they can improve the architecture, they improve the security. And the non-tech guys, obviously, they should be very good networking champions, because they need to sell the product, they need to get the word out. Because if they don't have money in the pocket, they need to use their mouth to do the word of mouth marketing. And we did a lot. I used to travel almost every month to different places, talk to them. And there should be no ego, no shame in selling your product. You can sell it everywhere. You should be selling your product everywhere. Okay, that is the fun part. And you become battle hardened, getting a lot of rejections, and then you improve your pitch also, right? So that is how. Another red flag which I've seen is not committing to the process. Okay, so say, I will not make calls.
How do you find these out beforehand? These are great red flags,
Yeah.
by the way. Starting from the greatest, working your way down. I'm sure integrity is in there somewhere, but like starting from like the fact that you need to compliment the other person. Like, don't get people like
Yeah.
you. That's a
Yeah.
terrible idea. Get people who fill the gap. Like, so I really like all of your things. The thing that before we get to
Mm,
Kushi's question is like the thing that
mm.
that's hard is how do you know this before you make them your
So one of the
co-founder.
things which in a company, we have a policy of making them EIR, entrepreneur in residence, for a few months, so that there is an understanding how
Mm,
how the person connects. And if doesn't work out, you can part ways. Okay, it's a very amicable situation. You don't want to make a co-founder and then suddenly you want to like let them go, right? So you make them EIR, you take them into the process, see how they behave, see how they react to certain situations, and then you get them to the co-founder status. So that is what many companies do, and this is how mainly you should do it, because it will be a cultural shock if one day he's an employee and the next day he's the co-founder and you need to deliver as a co-founder, because that will be a very hard thing. So in the first 6 months, he or she can be entrepreneur residence. There are different names for that. Okay, some call it founders office and all that. So they understand all the strategic decisions, why decision was taken, and they can come with inputs. Okay, coming up with inputs and taking responsibilities, another thing which I have seen in India. There are a lot of companies who are going very fast because of this kind of people who are like crazy about building things and implementing things out of that. So yeah.
And this is such a good idea, because what you're saying is bring someone in as a kind of a
Yeah.
trainee on both sides, right? But then have
Mm.
a tick list. These are like 5 areas that are
Yes.
really important, and
Mm.
score them between
Yes.
1 and 10 in each area
Every week.
every
Yeah.
week, right? And that way it's non-biased, because it maybe they're just improving or
Mm.
getting better, and you see how the score goes. And if you see the
Different.
score
Yes.
reducing,
Problem.
problem. You see the score
Yes.
going up, then you know you're
Right.
doing really well. Okay, what do you think of Kushi's question? I think it's very interesting. I've always struggled with startup interview process. Sorry, with recruiting interview
Okay.
process. So she's talking about designing an interview process. What do
See,
you think?
when you want to take into an early stage startup, you need two things. One is commitment, okay, and one is, as I said, resourcefulness or integrity, for that matter. So first of all, if you can design a very simple task and tell them to use all their ingenuity to design the assignment, like to give you back the assignment, okay, within a certain period of time, and they should give you in certain period of time, because that will give you an idea that that person is responsible. They will deliver the task, because in early stage you need tasks to be delivered faster. You don't have a 7-day window, you have to do it overnight. Maybe in a couple of days you want to launch a feature, you want to test it out, everything is breaking, you are into a firefighting mode. Okay, the second thing is skill fit. Skill fit is important. You need one major skills, and the other skills they can adopt. Okay, you won't find a person who is everything he or she knows. They will not join a early stage company if that is not their company, right? Right. And you can't get, say, a senior development engineer from Amazon to join your company at a 70% slash um, salary cut, pay cut, and then he or she will not join. But the person who might be joining is the person might not, you are hiring for, say, Python. He might know very well concepts of Python, or he has designed in his internship in college, or during his earlier employment, some very good things in Python. So he has the understanding of the concepts, but he might not work in a early stage company. He might work in internships. That can be also very good. Cultural alignment is very important, because everything is built out of culture, right? In the early stage, there is nothing except culture, right? Will not have very high skillful workers out there. You will have medium skilled or skilled people who are very good at some things, and they are learning some other things because they have to learn. And cultural alignment is important. Number one, you need to have people who are uh, like who increases the energy of that room, because a startup is a very lonely place to be, right? You're not with like 10,000 people and having coffee breaks and all. You will be working maybe in a room, in a small office, and like 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, building something which you don't know end of the day will survive or not. It's a very lonely place out there. So you need people who
Yeah.
can increase the energy level, okay, who can motivate others. Okay, and then this is number one thing which I think. Number two is integrity. Okay, you will be trusting them with a lot of things. You will trusting them with a lot of codes and control keys and all that. They should not leave uh, like if they're leaving the company, they should not leave it uh, like that, or they should not jeopardize your or sabotage your company. Okay, that is number three. And number three is resourcefulness, very important. And uh, resourcefulness and ability to work in a very scrappy environment. It will be, everything will be scrappy. There will be no process. You don't have like they don't have approvals, nothing. You will have like 4 or 5 people, and then you have to work your way around it. Okay, you might not have subscription to very good tools. Say you don't have mixed panel. Okay, you will have to work with some free tool, say Google Analytics on the free platform, and you have to find out insights from it, use other tools, use any other tools which are available free, get some free trials, talk to your friends, get some credits from them, and use it. So you have to be resourceful. Okay, and you have to be always thinking on your feet. So that is, I think, how you interview a process. And the interview process, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is all about it.
No, so all of those points, all of them, excellent points, right? But how do you test for them beforehand? Look, I'm a
Hmm.
terrible recruiter. I normally recruit people exactly like me, which means it doesn't work. And then afterwards, I'm working on how quickly you deal with
Hmm.
the transition. And so, how do you avoid
Mhm.
being me?
Okay. Okay. So first of all, the assignment. When you see the assignment and you are pretty clear that that is not a plagiarized one. Number one, so integrity and timely delivery is sorted. Next is a phone call or a Zoom call, and then you ask them questions about your previous thing. So if the person has worked for a company before, you tell them, if I ask your manager how you have been, and if I call him right now, what will he or she tell me about you? And you have to see the other person's reaction. If the other person becomes a little bit down, a little bit secluded, then there might be a problem, right? And if the other person says, oh, I have worked with Brian, he will tell you a lot of good things about me, we have solved this problem, we have done this and all this. So that person genuinely worked at that company and he liked that company. People should love their company. Okay, if they're leaving that for different reasons, that's okay, but people should genuinely love their company, love their co-workers. So that is what you can find out. That is where you can see that how energetic that person is. Next thing is, if you see like a person on a Zoom call, maybe if you're not interviewing face to face, you can see the energy level which he or she brings into the table, right? That is one more very important thing. And then you can ask some very good questions to test resourcefulness. Suppose I my favorite question is, say I want to reach to 1 million job seekers. How will I do that without spending anything? Now they will give you a variety of questions. I will tell them, think for 2 minutes, then give me an answer. And then they keep on giving me a lot of good solutions. Okay, most of the solutions we have implemented, but that is how people think. So that is one more thing which you can test in an interview. So giving them scenarios, real scenarios which you have faced. Okay, so that is one thing which you can do. And next thing is, their willingness to join your company. So I do my set of webinars with a lot of chros and head of talent acquisition. The major problem is they get a very good guy, but that guy doesn't join. That
Mm.
guy will never join. So how will you find out that that guy will join? So he or she should genuinely be interested in your company. Okay, and they should not do offer shopping. So they take an offer and they tell to 5 other people, I've got this offer, can you raise it, can you raise to that or higher? So that is one thing. That is how we can avoid it, because you can bring them to your work environment before you onboard them. Just call them up in the meetings, see how the meetings are conducted, so that they get a feel of your culture. Okay, a lot of companies do it. I think PayPal does it, Google does it, and that has been a norm for companies who have a very high rate of people dropping off. A lot of companies do that. And next thing is, um, if the person is genuinely interested, he or she will start sending you things like, say, we can try this before they join. I have seen a lot of people do it. And that is a marker that this person is genuinely interested to solving a problem. And you give them a problem. Don't give them, you have to do this. Give them a problem, ask them for a solution. So that is how I normally hire people. And I like engage with a lot of other startups. I tell them to, this is how you hire your CTOs, your early stage folks, and also your very senior level directors.
Okay. And I'm going to get to Divya's question in a second, but before I do,
Hmm.
how many staff do you have right now?
We have around 120 people, 120 folks,
120 people, right?
120 people.
So you grew your team from zero
Huh.
to 120 people,
Yes.
right? At the now it's easy, right?
Yes.
You're a huge firm,
Yeah.
you've done incredible, you built it on your terms, like
Yes.
you're the best kind of startup founder. But at the beginning,
Hmm.
this is kind of touching on Divya's question.
Hmm.
How did you convince really incredible people to come on board and to stay with you for salaries that were probably pretty low?
Yes.
Or did you compromise on talent at the start?
See, we did not compromise on talent. We had talented people, just they were very young. Okay, we just got college pass outs. Okay, and they were wanting to solve a problem. We gave them a problem. We told them to try and solve it, and they started solving it. They loved it, and they stayed. Okay, that is one thing. And we were we were also very young company at that point of time, and we basically we had a very good synergy with college kids, who are into internships. We got them internships for 6 months in this third year, final year, so that they can learn about a company, they can work it around, and then they joined. Most of them joined and they stayed. So this is how we build our team. Okay, and we built people. We understood that, see, talent and skill. So talent should be there, talent to grasp new skills should be there, but skills might not be there. Okay, he might not be a very good
Mhm.
developer, but he should have idea ki ha, this is how what it should be done. And they should have a propensity to learn things. Learning is very important. You will not be taught, we will not do courses on learning things, right? You have to learn it on your own. Go back, sit down and learn from Hacker Earth and Hacker Noon and all these things, all these forums. Go to there. If you have a problem, solve it yourself. Okay, and that people loved. Okay, people were not told to do things, they solved it themselves. Right now also, when I have discussion with my growth team, they come up with the solutions. This is the problem which we might face. These are the four solutions. We tried it four, we experimented with four with minimum budget, and this is the where we should put our most of our energy with. So that is the same thing which we did when we were like a 4 or 5 people team, and everyone was doing something or the other. So we had people who were doing 2 3 things at one point of time. They were customer success, they were doing sales, they were also doing customer support. So they loved the
I,
whole process. Yes.
I love this. So you've actually added an extra level in. Before I was thinking of like experienced, useful,
Hmm.
experienced, useless, but now you've brought in inexperienced, potential.
Potential. Yeah.
And as an early stage founder, what you're pretty much saying is, look, your go-to
Yeah.
should be inexperienced potential,
Yeah, exactly.
right? But with potential. It has to have really strong potential in here.
Yeah.
And what's very interesting here, so I love that. And I think as founders, we should spend more time going to colleges and going
Hmm.
to younger people, maybe who aren't even in college,
Yeah.
but they're hungry and
Yes.
nobody's given them a chance yet.
Exactly.
You don't have to deal with attitude, you don't have to deal with big salaries. You're just dealing with people who are ready to build something beautiful.
Exactly.
So I actually do want I want to talk about the company culture you built, but
Hmm.
before I do, there's actually two questions here about emotional intelligence, really
Hmm.
interestingly. The
Hmm.
first one is, what frameworks do you use to assess emotional intelligence
Hmm.
and ownership in candidates, from Sumana? And then we also have what oh, Tim as well. Tim must have seen it and he's just like
Okay.
put it straight back in there again. Okay, cool. So let's go for this.
Hmm.
What frameworks do you use to assess emotional intelligence and ownership in candidates?
We have an internal framework to assess emotional intelligence and ownership. Okay, the second part, the ownership part, is very important. What we do is our KPIs are designed basis on emotional intelligence and ownership. Ownership being the leader in this. How we do it? We tell them, "Ki, you tell me what are the 3 4 projects you want to do in this quarter." Okay, and you have to execute it end to end. So you if you want to do something, say I want to launch a campaign for awards for candidates. Okay, so if you want to do it, you have to talk to product manager, you have to talk to designer, you have to talk to the other content team, and you have to do everything, and you come up with a plan. So it's their project, they are implementing it, they are talking to other people, and they are happy that this project worked, and they will do everything, they will do everything to so that their project. So basically I run a company where there are very small mini entrepreneurs, mini startups inside. Okay, when they launch a campaign, they are all in on this because that's their project. And we have like KPIs how you can uh, scale your project from 1 to 10. Okay, how good the project is going. Say if I put a LinkedIn post, people should share the post and comment it. How many comments have come, how many shares have come. So that will give you a metric that this is engaging. Okay, it's a very simple example. So there are multiple metrics which we track for ownership. Okay, also for emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, what we have seen is how, say if I put three people into a room, how will they react with each other on solving a problem. Okay, so that is what we track, how the problem solving takes place, how they are supporting each other. When someone is in a fix, we have like five people coming in and helping him. The developers come in, they help him with something. The designers come in to help them with a better page, better looking output. So all these things happen in a company.
And so, what I really like about our conversation is not just that as an incredibly experienced HR executive, being able to hire and find people for organizations, you're telling us what that looks like, but you're also telling us how you built your own organization from 0 to 120 people successfully
Yes.
without having to raise an awful lot of money. I really like this next
Mhm.
question from the seminar,
Mhm.
which is like 0 to 1. And I like the fact that the term hiring system is in here, as opposed to, how do I just hire people? Because I think for a lot of folks, they go on LinkedIn, they go on Craigslist, there is no system. Now, maybe they're not ready
Mhm.
for a recruitment company yet. Maybe they're really early. But can you talk a little bit about, like,
Mhm.
if you're a one person or a two-person band, like, what does a
Mhm.
system look like when hiring?
Okay. So see, basically you have to have a vision what you have to do in the next, say, 6 months time. Okay. And with that, we have to find out what's your bandwidth and if you need a third person. So that we did. So we were two founders and there were other people, and we wanted a person who is very good in sales, who can teach us also sales, and we're very good in sales. So we got one person, and that guy was uh, doing sales for a different type of a company. It was from a different background altogether, but sales background, but different things he was selling. He was not selling software. So he came in and he used his knowledge, and he was pretty young, like at that point 22, 23. Okay. And he started selling. He started talking to companies and he got the ownership done. Okay. And then he built his own team. Okay, he built his own sales team. So that is how the system goes. So I built my team. The other co-founder Aditya built his team, and the salesperson which we had, he built his team. So everything was objective based. How many people do I need, and what is the like bandwidth of these people? So if say we are getting say 100 leads a day, we need five people to deal with this 100 leads. Okay. So that is how we built our system. So everything was very objective based, and we also did future projects. So what our growth and product and development team did is we thought of what will be in the next 5 years. So if I want to increase my database 100 times in the next 1 year, what we need to do. Okay, it's not the usual business going in, so we build special teams for that. Okay, because at some point of time you have to scale, and scaling is not a one day job. You have to put a lot of effort. You build the foundation, and then at, like say, in a week you will have like a spike, the hockey stick graph, what we say, right? So we built special teams, special projects we brought in, and we hired people for that. Okay, we
Wow.
gave them blueprints, deadlines, so that they can build it at the background, and when everything is done, we launched it. And then it was a hockey stick graph. So how we got, say, first 2 3 clients, and then we got the next 10 clients very easily, and next then we got the next 30 40 clients very easily. So we operated on a very big spectrum. So we had got, so Swiggy at that point of time was a very small startup. Okay, we got Swiggy. So Swiggy hired his first engineer from our platform. Okay. Okay. And then Swiggy referred to five more startups, which were all the 10 people, 20 people range. So that is how it goes. And when we, so our thing was we need to get more organic thing going rather than inorganic. So first of all, our sales team was pretty small. We had a 2 3 people sales team because everything was inbound. We did not do outbound, right? Every company came in, they used our product, they loved our product. So the product did its own marketing, okay, and they loved our product. So Uber, they came in, they loved our product. 7 days they could hire one engineer, which they were not trying to hire for the last 3 months. And they came in, we
Wow.
want to use the product, we want to get the subscription done for a year. So that is how it went. And as we got in, we found out that there should be a customer success team which is proactive, not a reactive customer support team. So we got people who can do customer success jobs. And at that point of time, customer success executives were very very costly in the market. So we got fresh people out of college who were very good to talk to. We taught them a little bit of customer success, and they picked it up. And right now we have a lot of people who were sticking from that point of time till now, and they are training other people in my company. So that is
I
how
love
we
this.
built this.
And this is almost like this is so good because yes, we're talking about recruitment, but we're really talking about a masterclass on how to build a company. And even then the question from the seminar, what would 0 to 1 in a hiring system look like? You've talked about that. Like you find
Yes.
people with tremendous ambitions
Mm,
who are young and they value growth
mm,
more
mm.
than being able to pay their mortgage, pay their
Exactly.
husbands, wives, kids, whatever
Mm,
else they
mm,
need.
mm,
They value their personal growth, the
mm,
highest metrics they have. You
mm.
then check for emotional resonance. You then give them ownership of tasks. You're almost
Exactly.
building this mini entrepreneurship group
Exactly.
of disciples that will
Mm,
then grow beyond you. It's very, very, very powerful. I think it's great. I want to just. This is actually a great question, especially for somebody like you, where you
mm.
grew from 0 to 120 people. What period of time did it take you to grow to 120 people, and how did you
Around
balance this?
we took around 4 to 5 years to do that. Okay, we built it
Which is
slow because
fast.
which is, yeah, we built it slow. Why? Because we did not want to hire like 200 people at one point of time, and then a lot of layoffs happen, as you know, in the industry. But we do not want to do that. We wanted to have people who can hire other people, who can motivate other people.
Can I
That is
can
the
I
first.
stop you for 1 second?
Yes, yes,
You built to the customer, you did not build to the investor. It's
yes,
very, very, very important.
yes,
I
exactly.
would subscribe that up to 50% of all later stage found ups
Hmm.
fail horribly because
Hmm.
they build to the investor and not to the customer.
Exactly.
It's a huge piece, right? You made sure because you were conscious of the fact that hiring 200 people and firing 100 people is just not a nice or a necessary thing to do.
Yes, and that
Just done
hurts
as for
the brand
vanity
also.
metrics.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
hurts the brand.
please.
But we got to learn a lot of things from companies which we are talking about. So companies who raise a lot of funds, and then they hire a lot of very good people. Okay, they're very good people because they're very experienced people. They got it from large companies, and we were competing with a similar company like that in 2018 to 2020. Okay, and then they like I think got they stopped operations in 2021, I suppose. But that point of time we learned a lot of things because they were hiring very experienced customer success professional, very experienced sales guys from people who have like 10 years of experience, and ours was 1 year experience or 6 months of experience. And they we when we talked to recruiters or like our contact points, they told a lot of things about how they interact with them. So we built a playbook, how we learn from other companies, how they interact with them, what is the energy level in the room, how do they interact, what do they like. And we put the playbook. We also got our own pointers from them. We built a playbook, we gave it to playbook to the other people in our team, and they started implementing it. So basically, but the thing is, these companies which raised a lot of funds, they were telling about a technology which they have built, but it was not operational. But because if you use the technology, you will find out it's very basic. Okay, but they told
Yeah.
a lot of things like AI and all. But our technology built in got in more users for us. Okay, so we basically like sat down and see, Uber came in, Uber brought in the recruiter from Uber. or the head of Uber at that one time left to a company, another company, say Gojek. So Gojek came in also because they were using in Uber. They were very comfortable with that, and that is how people shifted. So in a year, say there is like 20% attrition in the talent acquisition industries. People leave and 20% new clients come in because they leave to other companies who are not using Instahyre and they started using Instahyre. So that is how it brings it.
Okay. Okay, it's good. So first of all, centered around the middle of all of this
Hmm.
is build beautiful products for
Yes.
customers who desperately want beautiful products. Like it has to transform them. Like it's the centerpiece of everything. And then you can do questionnaires, not do questionnaires, call them, not call them, whatever. Your product is that beautiful, your
Hmm.
customers will always be telling other people about them, right? But you have to
Hmm.
focus on that. And then the
Yes.
second thing is build a company for customers, don't build a company for investors. I'm
Exactly.
an investor, and I'm telling you, if you're building a company for investors, you're an idiot. You're
Hmm.
falling into a very, very silly game that you
Yes.
will be the loser of for sure. Even if you win, you'll lose so much equity by the end. The game
Hmm.
is not made for you. Build a company for customers and supplement with small amounts of capital that you require to be
Hmm.
able to build a company. I have
Exactly.
so much respect for like how you built your company and what you've built, and then how you brought in the people and how you made sure that it was always being driven by customer value and customer need. That's the centerpiece,
Exactly.
right? That should be the learn that everybody takes away from this. Is my product good enough? If not,
Exactly.
how do I make it better? Are my people hungry enough for growth? If
Exactly.
not, how do I get rid of people that have already
Hmm.
gone through the process and are already
Hmm.
in a place? They're not your people. They are
Hmm.
people for later stage companies where they can sit out their retirement. Your
Exactly.
people are hungry. They haven't eaten, right? So, okay, they're the central points. Now, lots of great questions asked. In the last 5 or 10 minutes, I just
Hmm.
want to hit you with a couple of rapid fire questions so I
Yes.
can make sure I have everybody covered. So,
Hmm.
first of all, signals and process. So what rituals and signals you build into the interview process to reflect who we are. Very important, right? Hundreds of recruitment companies out there. How do you separate yourself? Or how
Hmm.
does any company with a widget separate themselves and make sure that the cultural
Hmm.
attributes of the company are absolutely there? And by the way, we also both know that the cultural types of the company will change over time. The
Exactly.
culture when you're a three-person company is very different from 100 and very different from 1,000, whatever the founder wants to happen.
Hmm. Okay.
First question.
So, uh, the rituals or signals what we build in is basically all our people, all our folks here are our ambassadors. Okay. So they talk about the company. If you go to LinkedIn and search for any employee of ours, they will talk about the company. They will talk about their thought leaders themselves. Okay. And that is what we are looking into people when we interview. So any startup founders, okay, which are listening to or larger MNC recruiters who are listening into this, or anyone who wants to build their own team, you need to find people who can talk about your company outside. Okay. Basically, if you're it's a definite yes if you are hiring for a non-tech role, marketing, sales, content, social media, anything. They should talk about your company. They should become your ambassadors. That will lower your cost of getting influencer marketing, and they can become influencers because people believe in real people, okay, when they see it. And that is also helping in your hiring. Why? Because if you're hiring someone who is, say, think of your company, say they don't believe in your company, say it might look like it's a small company, why will I join? Let me ask to some employees. And when they ask some employees, these employees will give them a review that they will be blown away. And many people, after listening, they have left larger offers, which are higher pay packages, and then they join here because they everyone told that we are building something, this is what we are building, this is the impact on the revenue or on the database or the long term effect what we are building, and this is my project. So you if you are joining into social media, that will be your project, this will you will be building. So everyone has knows what they are trying to build. Okay. They experiment themselves. So this is all. And people should understand your product, people should love your product what we are building, because that is the most important thing. Everyone should be a salesman. You cannot say कि a development guy cannot sell. They should also sell. Uh, most of my people, when they fly, when they go to airports, they either they talk to a lot of people there, they wear the company merchandise, they talk to a lot of people, and we get a lot of calls ki, ha, I saw you in the airport, and they wanted to have a quick discussion with you. And by the way, as Brad was telling about the investors, we raised angel rounds, and all the angels are founders who are using our product, and they called in more founders to put in money and invest in us. Wanted a small round because we wanted to a little bit of scale and help mentorship from this, and all these people came in, and we will be investing in you, and we closed the round in less than 14 days. So it's like basically that is how.
Wow.
And what we look into people is also what another thing which people should look into is how tech savvy is that person. Maybe he's from marketing, but does he know about the tools which are new in the market? Okay, so if I don't give him any budget, can he go and make a beautiful video, a demo video on vo3 or whatever tool he wants to use? Can he make it? Okay. And if I don't give him any budget, can he go and make beautiful creatives on mid journey? That is how. So we test them, we test all this. You should also, people who are listening here should also test. And
Always,
I see
always,
a question on
always. Just before you get to the last question, literally, there has never been a person who has ever gone for a job who has said, "I'm just not very good at this."
yes, yes.
You, including me, including me, when
Okay.
there are things that I'm not very good at. Okay, it's just not a thing. You have to test. Very important. Okay, last question here from Abhijit, and then also after you finish this, I'd like you to close us out. Look, you've done an incredible thing. You've taken your company from zero to hundreds of people. You have helped thousands and thousands of applicants to be able to get jobs. I want you to talk a little bit about what your next steps are. I want you to talk about what is your transformative impact, not your feature impact, but your transformative impact for anybody who comes on board with you for customers and how people can contact you. But let's start with building long term pipelines when you're not hiring.
Okay, so we have two type of pipelines. One is active pipeline, one is passive pipeline. And passive pipeline is basically what we try to talk to a lot of candidates who will be useful, say 6 months down the line. So suppose I am building a growth team for a different objective. I will start talking to people on my platform, on other platforms, on LinkedIn and everywhere, and I start talking to people and to understand their aspirations, how they are building the things, what are they thinking. We do a lot of calls, on Zoom calls, with a lot of other founders to find out this is what we are trying to build, and we make a very solid JD around it, and we know everything about the process, what that candidate should do, what other companies are doing with similar candidates. And then we build a long term pipeline where we select some candidates which we think are very good, and we select senior candidates as well as mid level as well as very junior candidates. We do internships. We give them internship for like 4 5 months, 6 months down the line, and we test them on the same objective which we have found out through numerous Zoom calls, numerous discussions, so that we have a very good pipeline, solid pipeline. And when we want to hire, say 6 months down the line, we have ready-made list of candidates. So we want to hire this person as a manager, this person as a lead, and this 3 4 people who say as growth hackers, because these are guys are very good, and they will be obviously joining the company. If they're not joining company, we will have 3 to 4 alternatives for that. So that is how we build
Well
them for.
done. And keep them engaged. Bhargav, I was gonna like
Exactly.
finish, but this is a good question. So I gotta put it in here. I think storytelling around videos, team spotlights, content is something which is very underused
Mm,
or thought about within founders.
exactly.
Give us a
Exactly.
quick 30 seconds on this,
Uh,
and then let's finish
uh.
on you.
See, the founder is the most important person in the team. So the founder should talk about the company, the product, the culture. Okay, how they have changed some lives of employees or lives of team members. Next, the most important people are the employees which are there with you, the team members. The team members should talk about your company. Say you are the founder, so they should talk about you, how you have helped them. Okay, so that others can also take inspiration, because mostly employees, when they write, people tend to believe them a lot, because they are like coming from the horse's mouth. They have experiences firsthand. That is very important. Content about your company, yes, you can do that. You can put up your policies, but the most important thing are your employees. If they talk about you, if they talk good about you, and if they become your brand ambassadors, you will get a lot of folks inside. So and we have seen through a lot of campaigns from very good innovative companies where they have put in their people, their founders, their employees, and then we have people who are joining in because they loved it, loved their content. So that is how.
Well done. And then finish us with you. And I think mission is included in there, Amrit. Like you can see that storytelling is all about making sure the reason why you exist is there. I remember Credit did an amazing job being able to showcase that rather than just saying we do remittances from diaspora to Africa cheaper, what they said was we're repatriating $1 billion of stolen money directly back to the African people. And they were referring, of course, to Western Union and everybody else who'd been stealing the money, but that built-in mission and vision and purpose into why they're different. If you are an early stage startup and your mission and your vision and your purpose is not clear, then shame on you. You should have just worked in a large company. It should
Mhm.
be everywhere. And that should be why people are joining you,
Exactly. So the
right?
next.
Tell us about you.
Yeah. So the next part of the journey is a little bit uphill for us. We started off with product companies. Right now we into IT services and banking companies. So we are entering into a very large field, and we are improving our technology to help these companies hire. So these companies have been hiring very archaic and old ways. So right now we are trying to change how these companies look into it. They everyone wants to hire like product companies. Everyone wants to hire like how Uber hires, how Google hires, how Swiggy hires. They're very fast, they're very agile, and these companies want to change. So, like say TCS and others, they want to change their approach towards hiring. That is where we are going into, and it's a very large field. So that is what we're trying to do. So our mission is basically to give technology in a very editable and eatable way to candidates, job seekers, and companies so that they can use the technology without thinking that they're using technology. Very simple way, and they can get the best results out of it. And it reduces the frustrations of the candidate, the job seeker, because they don't get unnecessary spam and calls from people who they don't want to connect. And it also reduces the money or the project delays which are involved in companies because they can't hire the teams. Okay, so that is what
Amazing.
we are trying to build. Yes.
Sarbojit, you are an absolute legend. Kishle, could you please put Sarbojit contact details, company details, email address, name in here so people can see it, so people folks can actually reach out afterwards. Everybody listening, if you found this to be useful, I think what this man has done is legendary. He's building out a startup the way it's not even a startup anymore, but he's building out a new company or has built a new company the way it's supposed to be built with the end customer in mind. I love what he's doing. Anybody looking to have to hire, get jobs, any of those types of things, make sure you reach out. He's obviously a wealth of experience and very much appreciated. While people are taking his details down here, I will just go to an earlier question which came through. And I want to make this is how I'd like to finish. I really like that, like earlier on in this, we spoke about building beautiful product that really transforms the world. Look, why did we make a move into PE with Matchbook? Because accelerators are broken, venture capital is broken, it's all broken. Like if I just rebuild the same thing with a different face, the fact that I'm Irish is not enough to make a difference to our customers. So you got to break it. You got to build something better. You got to be brave. And so that newsletter that you're referring to, many other people saw that newsletter and it spoke about the fact that we were evolving Expert Dojo from being an accelerator and a VC firm to being a private equity firm as well. And that's a very pretty way of saying that one of our companies, Matchbook, of which I'm sure there'll be plenty more, but I believe they're going to be a unicorn and I believe they have skill gaps. And I believe the skill gaps that they have just happen to be the things that we are really, really, really good at. And so that means I am throwing myself all in with the boys in Matchbox. So, Pranav, just bear with us about a month or so, a month or two. Let's see where we are, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. and I'll let you know what's going on. But that company will become a unicorn within the next 3 years. 100% guaranteed fact. And we will hire people in exactly the same way that we've discussed on the call today. So thank you, everybody. Pretty soon that'll say Brian@matchbook.com. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. You've given incredible insights on all levels. And I'm sure we'll be working with you throughout India and throughout the US and everywhere else to help find incredible people in our teams. And in the meantime, I appreciate all of the things you've told us today.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
my
much,
friend.
Brian.